I'm just learning how to do this today, so all over again. All right, so let's start with the flag salute from Committee Member Brooke Nunn. Please rise. For which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can we go ahead and do roll call, please?
Committee Member Anderson. Farmbach. Nunn. Here. Vice Chair Wilson. And Chair Na.
Present. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All are present.
A total of 30 minutes we're going to go ahead and go into public comments. So a total of 30 minutes is provided for members of the public to address the committee on matters not listed on our agenda. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Public comments may be made in person at the meeting by submitting a speaker card to the committee secretary. Speaker cards will be called in the order received. All audio-visual use is prohibited. Public comments may also be submitted by email for inclusion into the record. Email comments must be received prior to the time the item is called for public comments and submitted to the Old Town Local Advisory Committee at temeculaca.gov. All public participation is governed by council policy regarding public participation at meetings adopted by resolution number 2021-54. Do we have any public comments?
We have received none.
Okay, so let's move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and all will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless members of the committee request specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. A total of 30 minutes is provided for members of the public to address the committee on items that appear on the consent calendar. Each speaker is limited to 30 minutes. Public comments may be made in person at the meeting by submitting a speaker card to the committee secretary. Speaker cards will be called in the order received. All audio and visual use is prohibited. Public comments may also be submitted by email for inclusion into the record. Email comments must be received prior to the time the item is called for public comments and submitted to the Old Town Local Advisory Committee at temeculaca.gov. All public participation is governed by council policy regarding public participation at meetings adopted by resolution number 2021-54. So item number 1 is to approve action minutes of April 24th, 2025. Right?
Second?
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
sorry, I didn't have my microphone on.
No, that's okay. All right. Farmbach.
Farmbach.
Yes.
Farmbach, yeah.
All in favor? Any noes? Okay, so moved.
Passes 5-0.
Yes, thank
Thank you.
you. All right. On the business side, rolling right along. Members of the public may address the committee on business items that appear on the agenda. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Public comments may be made in person at the meeting by submitting a speaker card to the committee secretary. All speaker cards will be called in the order received. All audio and visual use is prohibited. Public comments may also be submitted by email for inclusion into record. Email comments must be received prior to the time the item is called for public comments and submitted to the Old Town Local Advisory Committee at temeculaca.gov. All public participation is governed by council policy regarding public participation at meetings adopted by the resolution number 2021-54. Let's move to the item number 2. Receive and file an update on Amissa Village with the planning application PA 22-0941, PA 22-1123. Jaime Cardenas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we have Amissa Village here, which is, as you stated, a project that consists of 2 applications, one of them being a map to create 14 condo parcels, and the second an application to construct 14 units on the 0.68 acre parcel. So here we have a perspective of Old Town. On the far right, you see a star there that is representing City Hall, where we're presently located. And you see the creek traversing Old Town. West side of the creek, you'll see the project site with the marked in red and with the arrow pointing to it. So the the property is located at 42146 6th Street, and it's located on the elbow of 6th Street and Felix Valdez. So the project, located again here by the red star, is in the Old Town Temecula Specific Plan, more specifically within the Neighborhood Residential District, or the NR District. And the NR District is intended for attached and detached three-story residential development at a density of 20 to 35 units to the acre. The project meets development standards and the goals set codified in the NR District. And now we get into the map itself. I wanted to go over in this slide what the map is and what the map is not. So the condo map does not change the property lines at all. It doesn't change the acreage of the site. What it does instead is establish the unit boundaries for each independent residential unit. And as far as we know, the applicant is intending to create 14 market rate apartment units here. And by looking at the site plan here, you'll see that there's a right in and a right out from 6th Street. There are 34 parking spaces on the site, 30 of which are in garage. And then we have 4 surface parking spots. We have a total of 4 buildings. 2 of the buildings are 4-unit clusters, and the other 2 buildings are 3-unit clusters. We have pedestrian access from the street throughout the site, and then it connects to the Murrieta Creek Trail. We have the amenities highlighted in red here, and then the creek access. So here we are covering the amenities. The rectangle in red shows the area that is covering the total amenities, adding to about 3,300 square feet of common area. We have a 20 by 20 shade structure here, a unisex restroom, a 14 by 30 pool, 8 by 8 spa, fire pit, barbecue grills, and the creek access. So now moving on to the building floor plans, we have a total of 3 unique floor plans. The plans range from 1,300 square feet to about 1,600 square feet. Our floor plans feature 3 stories, stooped entryways and porches, over 100 square feet of private open space in the form of a deck or a patio, at least 2 garage spaces. We'll have 10 units with 2 bedrooms, that's going to be floor plan 1 and 2, and 4 units with 3 bedrooms, that's floor plan 3. Cluster of buildings are organized on the site plan as follows. We have building A, which is units 1 through 4, that is what faces the street or the Rancho Creek Apartments. We have building B, units 5 through 7, facing the creek. Building D, also facing the creek. And then building C, which is units 12 to 14, that is adjacent to the Riverbank Village Apartments. So here I'm just showing the committee the evolution of the project. Left half of the page is the pre-application stage, where we continued to work with the applicant until we got to where we are today and what was approved by the Planning Commission, which is what you see on the right. On the right is a sneak peek into what I'll be covering into more on the later slides, but what you see is essentially we eliminated the copy-paste design. We added shutters, recessed windows, tower elements, exposed rafter beams, decorative wrought iron, windowsills, and of course a more authentically Spanish design per the specific plan, which now we get into the architecture. The Old Town Specific Plan allows a developer to choose from a multitude of styles, including craftsman, mercantile, neoclassical, and of course what you see here is a Spanish Andalusian. So I've displayed a total of 4 buildings, starting with building A on the top. That's the building facing 6th Street, followed by buildings B and D. It's what you'll see from the creek. Building C, as shown on the previous slide, is what faces Riverbank Village Apartments, and then the side typicals. So from an architectural standpoint, you'll see that per the Spanish Andalusian style, you have the solid massing walls with stucco finishes, recessed windows and doors, rectangular openings set on wood or stucco columns. It must incorporate white or soft pastel earth tone colors, ceramic tile accents, the S-tile roof, and we have twisted wrought iron details. More on those details here in the materials. Exterior plaster, stucco, floral white color, wood accents seen throughout in the form of shutters, exposed rafters, windows, trims, and columns, stone veneer, Spanish tiles, recessed windows, iron railing with twisted pickets, Spanish lanterns, the terracotta tile insert with the ironwork, terracotta tile on the porch and planters, more clay accents, decorative eave cornice, and now some 3D renderings. Here's Creekside view, building D. An amenities view, we see building B and D on the foreground. Interior driveway view of building D. 6th Street view of building A. And the Creekside view of building D again. And here we'll go over the landscaping. You'll see approximately 20 different varieties of plants, 3 trees, 14 types of shrubs, a vine, and the design theory behind this was to essentially soften the hardscape, screen mechanical equipment, enhance blank walls, driveways, sides of the building, etc., buffer the perimeter, walkways, entryways. Typical plantings include, for trees, strawberry tree, Italian alder, glossy privet, shrubs, lily turf, desert marigold, roses, vines, honeysuckle, and you're looking at about 17% on the whole site being landscaped. The project was approved by the Planning Commission by a 5-0 vote. That concludes my presentation. Staff's here to answer any questions.
Air conditioning units going to be mounted?
So we have AC units in front of the buildings. They are right in front of the porch areas, and they are screened by landscaping.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Did I miss it? Did you tell what the word Amisa Village means? What does the word Amisa or Amisa mean?
I did talk to the applicant. He is Syrian, and Amisa was an old Greek city in Syria.
Awesome. When
Old
is the-
Greek ruled city.
When is expected completion date?
I don't have completion date. The applicant has been talking to staff. Right now, they're at the grading stage, grading plan stage. The applicant mentioned to me he wishes he could be here. He's in North Carolina, but he said he's shooting to break ground in the springtime.
Any other questions? All right, go ahead.
There will likely be overflow parking. What's the intent on handling that?
The project is parked per the specific plan, which references and is consistent with the municipal code.
Correct.
So here you have a total, essentially the project meets not only the required parking for each unit, each resident, but also for guest parking as well. So all the parking that the project requires is off-site. or is off-street, I should say.
I have found that to be inadequate in multifamily and condos that I've owned, so I was just wondering what the plan was to help that situation. With a 3-bedroom home, you're likely going to have, 4 drivers or more, and at holiday time, and guess where will the overflow go?
It'll go on the street.
I was going to,
So that
so it's
street
required-
parking is
so-
allowed?
Yeah, on Pujol and Felix Valdez.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so there's off-street parking.
Okay,
But
good.
it does meet the requirements of the code. There's 2 covered, and then there's 4 additional guest spaces. I do agree with you, that's probably inadequate, so the overflow is going to be on the street.
that's condo living. And yes, I think in front there is a lot of open spaces as far as I know, because I park there sometimes. All right, thank you so much for the presentation. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to let you know, in the future, the Old Town Local Advisory Committee will see these before they go to Planning Commission. You're seeing them as a receive and file after, because the application came in before the formation of the Old Town Local Advisory Committee.
Thank you. All right, so let's move towards number 3, receive and file update on Frog Parking Project. Eric Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as you know, we've been working with Frog Parking. We have had the sensors there in the street in the pilot program for several months now. And we wanted to bring it in before you to let you know kind of what we found so far in these past several years and how we think an expansion could help in the future. And just know that we have scheduled this to go to City Council next week for them to decide if they want to move forward with Phase 2. So what I want to present to you is just basically a roadmap here, so you kind of have a sense of where the presentation is going to go. I'm going to be discussing just a brief project background, kind of refamiliarize you with how we got to today, our assumptions and observations that we've had going into the project, and then what we've noticed, and how data can help us in the future with issues related to parking policy. And what are some of the key questions you have to consider when you're looking at different items with parking policy. We're also going to discuss the current and future capabilities of the system. There has been a cost adjustment because we've got an enhancement that we've learned that we really want to have after working with the system for a little bit, so I'll talk about that. And what are the sensor types that you're going to see in Old Town throughout? And then just a little update on when we took it to City Council Subcommittee, what they all thought. So just to remind everybody, it's a 2-phase project. This right here was Phase 1. You can see the little yellow lines along Old Town Front Street, and that's where the pilot program is. It's 88 spaces. And then if approved, Phase 2 would be where you see the green. I apologize, it might be a little tough to see, but I had to kind of zoom out to get the whole area. But all the green spots, those are the public parking spaces, and it's really the downtown core. And you can see the street segments, and then we have there in yellow still the pilot program, so you can kind of differentiate between the two. So policymakers and staff, we've always used professional advice, data, studies to guide policy on Old Town, and that's why it's the success that it is today. The last council meeting, KMI discussed a lot of the efforts that have taken place really over the past several decades that have brought us to where we are in Old Town with all the success that it has now. But we're reaching a point where we have to figure out what are we going to do with our curb and parking assets, really. We reached a critical point. And it's been discussed multiple times here with this body, what's going on with parking, how do we work with parking. So when we talk about managing parking and curb assets, we're really talking about balancing the needs of a lot of different stakeholders and trying to come to a point where, we can't be all things to all people, but how can we best address what everybody wants in a way that's fair to everybody? And as we talked about before, those past collection methods, they were manual. You'd have a company come out over 3 days, they'd be out there manually counting, and the problem with that is it's a snapshot in time, and there's so many holes you can poke in it. Someone can say, well, the numbers are like that because it was too hot, or it was too cold. There was an event. There's all these different things that can shoot it down. So what we did is we thought there has to be a way technology can help us, and we worked with Fair and Peers. They looked at 6 different technological solutions that could possibly help us. We determined that in-pavement parking sensors would be the best way to go. A request for proposal was circulated. The council selected Frog Parking in November of last year, and we've been working with it ever since February of this year for the pilot program. So now that we've been working with it a little bit, what was our assumptions going into it? What have we observed? Well, we had a really big assumption when we first started this. And before I really get into there, understanding that parking here in Old Town, it's complex, and getting the existing system, getting to a point where we can make decisions, it's complicated because there's so many different stakeholders, there's so many different things going on. And one of our assumptions was that phase 1 was going to be at full capacity, certainly during peak hours, lunchtime, dinner time, weekends, holidays. We thought we would see this thing's maxed out. But the system revealed that that wasn't the case even on a holiday weekend, and I'll show you that right now. This graph right here, right out of the system, is for the month of September. And on the x-axis there you have the date, September 1st, 2nd, 3rd, so on and so forth. And on the y-axis, the vertical axis, you have the number of spaces. We have 88, as I've just mentioned before. That right there is Labor Day. That's the 88 spaces. So on a holiday weekend, we didn't max it out at any time during the day. And the chart also obviously shows that we didn't do that for the entire month of September as well. You've also heard us talk about this whole 85% threshold and how when you hit that point, that's when you need to start looking at other options to kind of distribute or disperse the parking. There's people are going to be driving around trying to find things. So how did we do when we had this? Well, for the month of March, 21 out of the 31 days, at some point in the day, we hit or exceeded the 85%. I'm going to do this for the next several months. You can see April there, right about 76% of those stalls hit the 85%. The numbers here for May, and June, July. August dropped, and our thought on that is, well, it's really hot. So that might be what happened there. And then we have September. I didn't do October because we're still in October, so I didn't go through that one. We also noticed that a majority of the parking sessions, they're 1 hour or less. This graph right here represents the entire time between March and September. And on the x-axis there, you see those are the different hours. They're in minutes. So 0 to 60 is 1 hour, and so on and so forth. And you can see that the vast majority of parking sessions was an hour or less. And on the y-axis there, those are the number of sessions. So within those several months, we had a little under 90,000 sessions running through there. So that's a lot. That's more than I think we anticipated, but there's a lot of activity, definitely. So what I just presented, though, it's just the pilot program. It's just those 88 spaces. What's going on in the rest of Old Town? Is this holding true for the rest? We don't know. We need the data. And how can that extra data help us? Well, having the accurate real-time data can assist us in making a lot of different decisions. And the next several slides, I'm going to show you some different scenarios that relate to parking policy that we're going to have to think about. Some have already been discussed. Some were us brainstorming. You might come up with some as you listen to this that aren't even on the list because there's just so many things that can come up. So we'll just go through a few of those now. So residential parking permits, we've talked about that in here. It's come up, there's just some questions. If we're going to do these, where should we put them? Should they be all day? Should they be just for a few hours? Who knows? And the state, with all their housing laws, that's going to impact residential parking as well. It's being reduced or eliminated in many cases. Also, should there be overnight parking? Street closures, how's that all going to work? Event management, economic coordination. This is an interesting one because what we mean by economic coordination is, let's say that our parking data, once we start seeing more trends with the overall district, we start noticing that a certain area maybe isn't as busy, or a certain day it's not as busy. Would that be a good time to have an event to bring more people in so that there's more people go into the restaurants, the shops, things like that? Those are all things we need data to try to understand and try to figure out. Employee parking, should they get permits? And then time parking, you've heard us talk about that. And then delivery parking. And then I show this picture here to kind of link it with delivery parking. Yes, I know that's a trash truck there, but it kind of illustrates the point is when you come in here at certain times of day, typically more in the morning, but you've got delivery trucks all over the place. And in this particular scenario here, you can see that if you're a car trying to get through, it turns into like a one lane. Is there a better way to do delivery parking? Should there be delivery zones? We don't know. We need the data to figure that out. Drop off and pick up, that's Uber and Lyft. And something I want to expand upon here is, if you're somebody waiting for an Uber or Lyft, we've seen it out there before. Somebody's on their phone, where's my Lyft person, where is he? Oh, he's over there. They run into the street, get into the car, and then, take off. Should we have an Uber and Lyft drop-off location? Where should that be? Should it move throughout the year depending on where it's best needed? We need the data to figure that out. Trash pickup, always street sweeping. We've talked about the Old Town parklets. Where should those go? The parking data would tell us what sections maybe aren't as parked as heavily, and they could go there possibly. Construction timing and phasing. Advertising where to park on social media and the city website, that could be fluid too, depending on the type of year and events that are going on. Private parking lots, should we allow those? Should we regulate them? Alternative transportation options, is there demand enough for Old Town Trolley to come back possibly? And then we've heard people talk about, hey, you guys need to put another parking garage in here. Well, where, how many? Is there demand? Is there enough demand? Grab and go parking for, I'm running in to grab my lunch or whatever, I'm getting back out, is like a quick place to do that. And then should we update the Old Town specific planned parking standards? Is there enough parking issues down here? We need to take a look at that again. And then finally, should there be paid or metered parking? I mean, again, we have to have the data to answer any of these things. And what we've learned, obviously, and what we know is that Old Town it's a mixed-use district. And there's a lot of different players down here, a lot of different stakeholders. And they're all looking at everything through their own lens. And just briefly to run through a few of them, the residents, they would love to have parking in front of their residence. I mean, just think about if you're coming home from the grocery store, you don't be parking off somewhere far, you got all these groceries, or you have a child with you, and you're having to trek over to your house. Business owners, they would love to have parking up right in front of their place for their customers. Employees would love that too, so they could park close. And tourists want to park, obviously, near shopping, restaurants, events, entertainment. And what you can see here is that everybody kind of wants parking right in front. You can't, there's really no way to necessarily do that, but what's the best thing we can do to try to help everybody as best as we possibly can? You need the data to do that, to drive that. So when you're looking at those past 3 slides I gave you with all those different scenarios, there's some broad questions you want to ask yourself. And these are kind of the 30,000-foot questions. It's, should we do it? Yes or no? If we do, where, how long? And is it successful or not? Did we make a good choice? Or did we make a bad choice? You got to have the data to do that. And these questions are really just the beginning. They're just a starting point. We believe phase 2 will help us because we're going to get the whole picture of the downtown core and understand where everything is, where everybody's parking, and what's happening. What I want to do is I want to take now just a couple of those items and just kind of drill down deeper so you know what I mean by needing to have the data. So if we were to say, yes, let's do it. Let's have residential parking permits. This is a great idea. Well, it takes more than just to say it. You got to just really drill down and figure out what do I need to figure out in order to make this a reality. And these are just some of the specific questions here you'd have to figure out, okay? Location. If we put it over here, is it going to impact that guy's business or that residence or whatnot? How's that all going to work? Should there be a loading zone maybe in front of the residence that people can quickly run in and grab their grocery or put their groceries away and then come back out and park somewhere else? How long should permits be allowed for? Should they be 24/7? Should they be only at daytime, only at nighttime? How are you going to enforce things if somebody doesn't abide by the rules of the permit? You're going to tow them? You're going to ticket them? Does that happen all day long, 24/7, or only at night, only at daytime? And there's costs. Should it be free? Should it be discounted for some folks? If you do that, is it considered a gift of public funds and you can't do that? In this particular example for residential parking permits, that one issue alone is going to impact everything you see here on this table. Trash service, what if you put them somewhere and it impacts CR&R as they're trying to do trash for restaurants and businesses? delivery drivers, construction, special events. You can see it just kind of ricochets through everything. Look at one more example here. Look at parking garages. Should we put more in? These are some of the specific questions you'd have to ask yourself if you're going to do that. You know, how many spaces should a new parking garage have? Well, you can't do that unless you know what the demand is, and you can't figure that out until you have the data. How tall should it be? Financing. Again, you need the data, because how would you get some lending institution to lend you money if you can't even show this is the demand, this is why we think it's going to work for us? Location, where should they be? Should there be more than one? Is it going to be just for timed? Would it be staffed, or would it be, a kiosk where you pull your ticket out and whatnot? And then, can we optimize existing parking for less? I mean, do we really need to go forward and build a parking structure if we can figure out how to optimize what we already have, and maybe that works better? Can we lease spaces for less instead of a parking garage? But again, you need to have the data. You need to know what the demand is in order to make educated arguments for these things. So every one of those decisions that are made for those different items, they're going to have consequences that just reverberate throughout Old Town. And they come with, as I just mentioned a moment ago, they're going to have financial considerations, and they're going to have trade-offs with each. So you really have to be careful, and you want to be precise in what what your decisions are. And again, in order to do that, in order to get that precision, you got to have the data. So what are the current and future capabilities of this system? Well, phase one, right now, what we have in the agreement for phase one, and if approved, phase two, is we're just getting the data. That's what we're getting. Should the council decide that they want to have more capabilities with this thing, they do offer more, and they do cost more. Obviously, they're add-ons, but these are the different things they can have. They can have the mobile app where folks can go on their phone and figure out, okay, the Civic Center parking garage has plenty of spaces, I'm going to go over there. It does those types of things. Obviously, they can do enforcement. There's parking permit software they can do. They're kind of a complete package, if you will. There's also a parking validation system, like we've all used in other locations, where you go eat at that restaurant, you buy something at the store, you get your parking validated. There's the capability to do that, but they're just all add-ons. And what we've seen with the system is that it does provide a wide range of capabilities, a lot of different types of data arrays we can get. We've seen that not every space is utilized, and we found that we do need to have an enhancement to move forward, which will make phase two run a lot better, we think, and be more beneficial for everybody. And staff has gone and field verified that the system works. Like when we saw that we weren't hitting 100%, we thought, that's not right, there's something wrong here. Brandon actually and I ran out there, looked at the system, went out there and physically looked, and it was matching up what we saw on the screen, so it's working. So let's take a look at that cost adjustment. So we learned some things in phase two, and with respects to the parking garage, we found something that we really want to add to the project that will make it that much more better. And the revised total that Frog gave us for that, it is still within the contingency amount set by the council. So those dollar amounts of what was approved, that's not being impacted at all. It's the same amount. I put together this little table here where we see on the first row the originally approved cost, $49,000 and change, and then revised with enhancements goes to $568, you can see there. And the very last column there at the end there on the row, that was the originally approved amount if you add the contingency to it. So you can see we're still under that. So let's just talk about what that is. And what we want to do is in that parking garage, what we need to do really is we want to put in those visual indicators. I don't know if you guys have been to Pechanga, they've got them over there. They've got them in Laguna Beach, they've got them at Disneyland, and you can see, as you're looking down, where's there a spot, and you can quickly jump up to it, because I'm sure you've all been in situations where you think, oh, there's a spot right there, you get to it, and it's a smart car or something like that plugged in, and you're like, oh, man. So that'll help to alleviate that. And then I also just want to mention the maintenance costs for this. That's the yearly maintenance cost that we have right there. Years 1 and 2, they're now free. And then just to kind of remind everybody, we may not have told this group because this came in before you were formed, but when we were looking at doing this, the old way that we had it, where somebody manually went out there, the costs for that went through the roof. And it was a little over $500,000 to have somebody go do, I think it was a 3 or 4 day study out there. And again, that's just that snapshot in time that everybody can poke holes in. So that did not seem a wise use of money anymore. It did not used to be that expensive. So what type of sensors are going to be utilized? Well, I just talked about these. These are the guidance systems that will be in the garage where you don't have sunlight. And then as you kind of round out the top and you're going up onto the third floor around the corner and the sun starts to hit stuff, then you get these right here, and these are the solar powered. And then in the rest of Old Town, you're going to get what we already have, and that's these little battery operated ones they're about yay big, and they're really tough to see. They blend in really well, we found. So we did take this to the City Council subcommittee, presented them all the information basically that you've seen here. We told them obviously about the cost increase, and the subcommittee was supportive of the project. And the project is scheduled next week to go to City Council for their decision if they want to go to Phase 2 or not. That concludes our presentation. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Do we have any questions? Go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. That was very thorough. I'm excited to see more data. It makes sense along Front Street that a lot of the cars would only be there for 1 hour or less because, they're probably running in or just grabbing a bite to eat really quick. So it'd be very interesting to see the other streets and
Sure.
other areas. Would it be possible to also add into that data increase of disabled parking spots as well, to see if we can increase those?
They can tailor the system to note the type of space. So wherever there's disabled spaces or whatnot, they can mark that in the system, so then you can track that specifically.
Okay.
And then we can use that data to figure out, do we need more, do we need less? But the amount of ADA spaces you have, that's all governed by the code.
Okay,
and ADA,
that's
yeah.
helpful. And then I just want to make it clear, because I know people will ask, this Phase 2 does not, coming in is not going to charge for any parking?
No. This whole, like I explained a little earlier, we're just trying to get data. And if it were to ever go to that, that's a council decision. That's not us. That's the city council. But all the way up from that decision and everything on down, to be as precise as possible, you got to have the data to back it up.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm fully supportive of Phase 2. I
Okay.
think the data will be unbelievably beneficial. In one of our projects, we do have a loading zone in the parking lot, so our tenants can pull in, unload, get the kids upstairs or
Yeah,
whatever
whatever they
they're
gotta
doing,
do.
groceries, everything, and it works very well. It's also available for vendors, and trash trucks won't fit in that, but they don't stop there. They're in and out for us. But I'm excited about this. Well done. It's well thought out, well planned. Your questions are thorough, and I have nothing to add except thank you for doing this. We appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Well, thank you so much. Go ahead.
This is a receive and file item, but we would like to report back to the city council on the 28th, the entire advisory committee's decision. So if you want to take a vote on whether or not you recommend Phase 2, that would be helpful.
I think that we will. I thank you for your presentation. It was really good. I think it answered a lot of our questions about convenient parking versus no parking. It's two very different things, and like you said, everyone parks in front, but
Yeah.
can't always happen.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take a vote whether or not we support Phase 2.
I support.
I support.
I support.
I support.
I support.
Thank you.
You can. Please fill out a speaker form. We can take a public speaker
Yeah,
on
we're
this
fine.
item.
Yeah, we're good.
Come on up.
You-
Come on up.
Come on up, yeah.
Just state
My
your
name
name.
is Neil Cleveland. My address is 28046 Del Rio Road, Temecula.
I own a building in Old Town, the Stampede Building. I'm not the tenant, I'm the owner, the managing owner. I've owned it over close to 35 years. I've followed this very closely with staff, and I totally support this second phase. It's critical. And there's particular circumstances with my situation. I have a parking agreement with the city that was created in 1999. I sold the parking lot to the city, and then we executed a parking agreement that is in perpetuity. It has a lot of technical terms and conditions. What I'm most concerned about, and it might appear in a selfish way, but is how much residential parking has impacted the lot. Overnight parking. The lot, the intent of the public parking wasn't for residential, it was for commercial, tourism, et cetera. So I do have big concerns about it. Staff has lots of letters from me, and we've had good communication. But I do have the concern how you're going to deal with residential parking overnight. It's impacting the parking lot where I have this agreement, and I've been cooperative, and I'm going to stay cooperative. I want to work with the city, but there's got to be some movement there, because essentially we're subsidizing residential parking, and that's what's occurring, bottom line. And there's not enough residential parking on the units, on the sites themselves. So to Eric's point, I think there's lots of data to get, and I'm interested in listening and hearing it out, and I want to protect my rights as well. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions of me, I'd be glad to answer them.
I do. Go ahead. You go first, Jack. Nope, go first. I'm good.
I have known Neil for many, many years, and I have never known you to be a selfish person. You're an astute businessman, logical, kind, and a good communicator. So I think stating your needs is very important for our future decisions.
Thank you.
You are directly behind the Stampede. Is that to the left and to the right? So behind the Baileys is also yours? Just that whole area?
Yeah, that whole area, that we owned that at one
Okay.
time, and we sold that
Back
to the city.
okay.
In fact, it was part of the incentivization of getting the parking changed in the Old Town Specific Plan, and it was to spur on what you now have created here, including the City Hall.
Okay.
So, and that's been in place since 1999.
Thank you. And it's called Epperson, am I correct? Okay, at the Epperson parking lot.
Roger was my business partner for
remember.
45 years. He passed away, and we have a lot of interest in Old Town, and so the city was kind enough to adopt that name, and his family's very respectful of it.
Great, thank you. Do we need to know anything else about that? I think, except that he's just worried about the overnight residential parking, which we're not addressing quite yet.
Duly noted, and I encourage you to attend the city
Yes.
council meeting next Tuesday.
Yes.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll fill this out and give it to you. Thanks again for your time.
No, thank you for taking your time to be here. We appreciate it. All right, well, thank you. So now on to the fun stuff. The live entertainment workshop with Mark Collins and Brandon Rabideau. Yay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Old Town Local Advisory Committee. We're going to go over this. We have a lot today, as you can see, so I'm going to move through this quickly. Feel free to ask any questions at the end, so we'll go through it. So the past few months, we've had questions from various folks about permitting live entertainment in Old Town, whether that's even allowed, and what's the permit process like, and what does it cost, and all these different things. So we wanted to come address it and answer any questions you may have, and utilize you as a team to be our partners in reaching out to the community to communicate Old Town welcomes entertainment. So we appreciate that in advance. So first part is entertainment is a very important part of Old Town and our community. Our permitting process is there because safety, balancing community interests, and community standards are all important. A lot of times entertainment is one of the more dangerous types of activities that can happen at any business. That's where a lot of our fire codes and building codes were actually developed, are from entertainment functions that went bad. So just remember, that's why this is such an important thing to have the city review these standards. And throughout the process, our staff is here to assist businesses and applicants through any type of entertainment permitting that they may choose to use. So there are three major options for permitting entertainment in Old Town. The first is a temporary use permit, second is an entertainment license, and the third is the outdoor pilot program that we have. I'm going to walk you through the basics of that, but I'm still going to be available towards the end to answer questions about that. So the option number one for a business is they could utilize our temporary use permit. And what that's for is really infrequent one-time events. Those could be indoor or outdoor, for instance, St. Patrick's Day, with a limited duration. And folks can go online, they can come visit us at City Hall, they can email us, they can call us. Either way, they can submit that application. It walks them through that. Our applications may seem a little bit longer. I do have a few here that I can show you afterwards. Really, a majority of the actual paperwork is education. It's, hey, this is when you can do it. These are the rules or regulations. So they don't have to go find a municipal code. We don't want to actually have to enforce any regulation because we want people to know about it beforehand. Education's a big part of that. Here's a sample of our city website. This is our planning page, www.temeculaca.gov/planning. Application forms or handouts are listed in multiple places on that page. Someone can go on there, click on the link, and then download the application. It's even fillable in PDF. They don't even have to print it out. And what does that actual application require? Well, it requires floor plans. We need to know what the actual floor plans look like, basic information for describing the temporary use, and it walks applicants through other permits if they needed one. For instance, a stage. If they need a stage, they need to get appropriate permitting, but we walk them through what department you need. If they need to have alcohol, if they don't already have a license, we walk them through what department, because we want folks to be able to go through the process as easily as possible. We have heard a lot of information on floor plans, and I had to hire an engineer to get plans. I am showing you the proof. It's right in front of you. These are the plans that we get, right? These are hand-drawn plans. There's not engineering. These are not to scale. These are real plans from applications this year. So I just wanted to show you they do not need to be engineered plans. We just need good information so that we can make sure exits are safe, occupancy is safe, and the various building and fire code things that we need. I did hear in a meeting that the cost of the application for someone for something like this cost about $5,000. I do want to inform you that that was the business owner that was charging them to draw the plans cost. That was not the city's cost. So I just want to be entirely transparent. It is not a $5,000 project. So if someone has questions about a cost, call us. We'll answer the question. What is the actual cost? Anywhere between $76 to $307. That range is for the size and duration of the event. We also have a discount for nonprofit events so that they obviously can focus on raising funds for their charity. So what does the temporary use permit allow? It allows for indoor or outdoor entertainment, and those both have to be in compliance with the noise standards of the Temecula Municipal Code. So it gives a lot of variation. So even if you had a business that maybe doesn't normally have an event and they want to do something on a temporary basis, maybe it's not even a restaurant, maybe it's a bookstore, they could do something larger and get this temporary use permit for their event. Okay, that was option one. We can answer questions at the end. Let's talk about option number two. Option number two is our entertainment license. And what's this for? Well, this is regular, ongoing indoor entertainment. They can go Sunday to Sunday. And again, similar as before, they can get the application online, they can submit in person, emails, and visit us at the counter. What does it require? Floor plans. This does require slightly more detailed information depending on the entertainment, so we kind of have a gradual process for this. So for instance, if you're a business and you just want to have someone with a guitar and you're not serving any alcohol, we have a Class 1 license, and that's the least difficult one, right? It just, hey, we want to see you have your exits there, we want to make sure there isn't a stage, we want to make that process as easy as possible. The Class 2, alcohol serving without dancing. Again, a restaurant with a guitar. Anytime there's alcohol involved, we want to make sure that it's properly permitted, and there is usually a higher likelihood of issues, so that's why that's kind of broken into a separate classification. And then for Class 3, that's alcohol and dancing. And I know it seems a little crazy that you got alcohol and dancing, but that's where a lot of building and fire code issues and disasters happen, is when there's dancing in floor areas because they're overly saturated with folks, and so it's really important that we take the time to dive into safety when looking at that. And then we also, in the city, have the Class 4, which is an entertainment venue that has an ABC license. So those are the different classifications. businesses don't need to worry about what class they're going to be. If they have questions, give us a call. We'll walk them through and say, hey, you're going to be this because you don't have alcohol, or because you're having dancing, you would be this class. Cost ranges between $100 to $500. Again, the cost for some of the more difficult license types in terms of like the information we need or their potential for issues, that's why it's a little bit more. If it's a coffee shop and they want to do this for a year, it's $100 to get the entertainment license for the entire year. All right, so that was the entertainment license. We're going to switch to the final program, which is the pilot program. So what is this for? It's a pilot program to measure interest and impacts in outdoor entertainment in Old Town. I'm not going to repeat this. You know where to get the application. You know where you can visit us. We're here to help. The program overview, it's a 2-year pilot program. It started as a 1-year. The city council extended it. It allows for that temporary use permit application that I talked about earlier to allow for outdoor entertainment for a year. And it'll sunset on August 8, 2026, unless the city council decides to extend it or take some other action. This is limited to the downtown core district because obviously our residential zones within the Old Town specific plan, probably not the best place for a large concert venue. What that program is intended to do, we've shown this slide multiple times, it's really to be that single person with a guitar. They can go 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. It's ancillary to that primary business, and then no DJs or percussion instruments. So it's not intended to be your Taylor Swift concert or whatever it is on the right. The cost for that program is $307. So we had a lot here. We have a lot of items on our agenda tonight, but just to recap, 3 options for entertainment in Old Town. And mind you, we've expanded the options. We've not restricted the options. We have a temporary use permit for simple permits, temporary events. We've got our entertainment license for indoor entertainment. That could be daily, it could be weekly. And we have our outdoor pilot program that we're testing and seeing what kind of issues we have. Those are all available to our businesses, and we encourage them to apply. If you have questions, I'll say it the final time. We're here to help. We've got you online, we've got you in person, and we've got you on the phone. Give us a call. We'll walk any business through the process and help them get through it. If you have any questions, I'm here, and we're happy to help you.
Thank you. All right, any questions? Go ahead.
Hoping I'm not opening a can of worms, but I know that there was a lot of talk in Old Town about the decibels. Is that being, has that been increased?
Yeah, great question. If we could throw the presentation back up. Great question. So I have this slide in front of you. This is coming from the city's municipal code. This outlines what the decibels are. We're not going to get into decibel details because it's a whole nother presentation conversation. Okay. What I can tell you is we've heard from some businesses that have existing conditional use permits, and they're concerned about the decibels and their limitations that have been in place for a very long time. We're recognizing that, we're studying it. We have some plans to go study action in the next month. And so we'll have more to report, and that will go through the City Council and Planning Commission, and we'll keep the Old Town Local Advisory Committee in the loop as well. So that's what's going on, but we haven't shut down any businesses they're related to this specific issue. We're communicating with them, educating them, and working with them to see if there is opportunities to adjust things in the future.
Perfect, thank you.
I'd like to just add that those decibel levels, so the 70 decibel limit, that's actually embedded in the general plan. So that's where our enforcement mechanism comes from, is in the general plan. And to modify that is quite extensive. We are actually going through the general plan update right now, and that's one of the things we're looking at.
Thank you. I know that the Old Town Temecula Association has been working also with the general public, though I advise them not to answer anybody on Temecula Talk. But we do work and continually tell people Old Town is not shut down. There is live music. I can name you 5 places right now where you can go. And they don't believe me, but I'm telling them it's there. So I'm hoping we have some social media that will go out in the next month that will talk about live music, where we're going to be out and doing that. So hopefully that'll help. And I'm telling all my business owners. So my question was, on the pilot program, we had 2 in the first year, I think it was, or 1? How many this year so far? Yay. Okay. Getting kind of better.
It's about the same.
Oh, okay. All right.
So this is where this is really why the
Yeah.
Old Town Local Advisory Committee was formed. We
Yeah.
need your help.
Yeah.
Reach out to your constituents, let them know this is an option. We have communicated, it's on our website, we're always available. We have staff that is available from the minute our door opens at City Hall till the end of the day, and we are here to help anybody that wants to do this. And like I said, the city, before any of the controversy that was heard online, the city had actually already expanded the program. So that's the fact of the matter, that we've expanded options, and we're going to continue to support entertainment in Old Town.
We'll keep pushing out the permits to telling them the pilot program will go away if you don't use it. You know, we gave you something nice and fun, so let's use it. So, all right, thank you so much. Back down to the advisory committee reports. This is where we should be reporting out from our own, whatever we do beyond this committee in our other programs. So do you want to start with the chamber?
So can I share upcoming events? Okay.
Whatever you want.
So for the Temecula Valley Chamber of Commerce, we will be hosting our annual Monte Carlo event on Wednesday, November 5th. That will be out at Wilson Creek Winery. Tickets are available for sale, and we'd love to see the community there. Thank you.
Historical?
I represent the Temecula Valley Historical Society, and I have a few things to mention. One thing that we've been involved with just a bit outside of Old Town is we've explained to some of the people involved in the planning for the Elderberry Tract about the history of that property. It's not well known, and anyway, I hope that was helpful. The second thing that I'd like to talk about is murals. Again, a bit out of Old Town, we had learned that there was a potential mural that maybe was going to be put on the old historic Yoder Barn, which is at the Maurice Corrie Winery. And in conversation with the people in management there, we have learned to our great relief that the mural is not going to deface the historic barn that has stood there since the Vail family built that barn in like 1910 or something. There is a historic windmill and barn that dates back to the Vail era. The mural is going to go on a separate barn, which is a much better space, and we're all in favor of it. Talking about murals, there is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful new mural inside 1909. If you haven't seen it, step in there. Even if you don't have time to eat, go walk in that building. I don't know who's responsible for it, but it is so well done. And it shows places and people who are significant to our history in Temecula. You just get a great feeling, rah, rah, Temecula, when you go in there. The next is a question, and it's again about a mural. Many of you know about the lovely mural, historic mural at the 6th Street parking lot. It is really well done. I came to town in 1888. Excuse me, I'm not that old. I live in the 1800s sometimes with all the research and things I do. How about 1988, okay? Anyway, I've noticed that the western edge over the years has been lost because there is a business, I believe it's Ed Duell's Wine and Beer Garden, has kept going farther east. And I don't need it to know right now, but I wonder if someone knows the answer to, how does that work? He has open space, he doesn't really have a building. What is his property? What are the restrictions on his property? And how do we keep him from nudging farther and farther eastbound? So if somebody wants to reply to that today, fine. If not, if you want to reach me off the clock, so to speak, that would be great. The next item I want to tell you is we are presently working on an application for the Hotel Temecula to be on the National Historic Registry of Historic Places. As you may know, the hotel on that site originally was the hotel built to be the railroad lodging and meal place. Next thing is I want to mention our annual meeting for the Historical Society, same day, same place, on Wednesday the 5th of November, except ours starts at 11:30. So you can come to both. And what I want to share about that is, you know, we have in Sam Hicks Monument Park, we have this beautiful granite monument, and it lists names of people who've come through here, famous people, and it adds to our sense of time and place and position for Temecula and our history. One of the names is Jean-Baptiste Charbonneau. How many of you, by raise of hand, know who that is? Okay. He was Sacagawea's son, the little boy that she carried on her back during the Lewis and Clark expedition. Next question, what does he have to do with Temecula? When he grew up, he became a guide for the trappers who came to the Temecula area way before there were settlers that were non-native. And he later on became the mayor of San Luis Rey Mission. He passed through here, so on the They Pass This Way rock. So Jean-Baptiste Charbonneau. Okay, our annual dinner at luncheon on November 5th is going to feature a gentleman who is portraying him in costume and in person. So I think that should be real interesting. If anyone wants to know more about it, check our website. And then my final thing that I want to tell you is a long-awaited book has finally come to publication, a collaborative effort of including Walter Vail's great-grandson, myself, Jim Sappington on the Historical Society, and a woman at Vail's previous owned property in Arizona called the Empire Ranch. We've collaborated and published his biography. I haven't seen a copy yet. It just hit the Amazon list for sale 2 weeks ago. So the title of it has the name Walter Vail in it, if anybody wants to look it up. And we will be carrying those books at our Historical Society. Thank you so much for giving me the time this morning to share.
So with Visit Temecula Valley, as you probably know, tourism is way down this year. One of the biggest reasons is we've really lost all international tourism this year. So Canada has gone down to about nothing when it used to be about 20% of our business. Mexico is still coming through, but not in the numbers that it used to be. So because of this tourism being down, we've really pivoted, and we're spending all of our marketing dollars on a drive market. Luckily, we're blessed with 22 million people next door to us in LA that spend time here. And what we're doing for that market is we're putting together an extended stay campaign to get people to stay 2, 3, 4 days. And we're working with a lot of our tourism partners in making offers on why they should stay longer, like why 2 days is just not enough in Temecula. That actually launched this past Monday. Coming up in November and December is our Chilled program, which you've probably seen before. This year we're adding on to it to extend it. We're going to go into January, but we're going to call January Chill Out and just kind of make a new campaign off of this on things to do in January after the holidays. And then we've got what we call a combined meeting. So every other year, Visit Temecula Valley leads a group with the Chamber of Commerce, the Old Town Association, the wine growers, the City of Temecula, and Riverside County, and we put together a meeting, and we usually tackle 3 or 4 big issues and work together as a group to do that. This, to me, is a really powerful group because we get everybody in town, everybody in all of these different organizations to work together on common goals. So I'm looking forward to that meeting next Wednesday. And then, of course, we're working with the Old Town Association and Julie to promote and market some of the things that the Old Town Association will be doing over the winter that will fit into our Chilled program.
I represent residential units in Old Town Temecula, and I am getting more and more good feedback about the city and living here. They've seen the improvement in the parking. They're very grateful for it. They love the events, my husband and I have been taking advantage of the Old Town Temecula Theater. There's really some fun performances there, and we attend frequently and share it with our family during the holidays. So just all your efforts have helped our tenant retention, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. And finally, the Old Town Temecula Association is in co-sponsorship with the city doing a very, very Merry Temecula Christmas. So it'll be really fun, October 10th through the 13th. Just a slew of events and activities, so excited to kind of kick that off and see how it goes the first year. You'll probably see a lot of carolers going around. Santa will be here, some nonprofits in front here. So it'll be a really good time to bring your family, friends out, and really just enjoy Temecula and Old Town. And then you can do other things after. But yes. Sorry, I meant December. Did I say December 10th? So, thank you. And that segues right into community services. Yay.
Hi, nice to see you all again. So I know it's been a while. Just kind of a quick recap over our summers. We had a very successful summer with the concert series held in conjunction with the Sunset Market. Today we are having our final Sunset Market. So if you've kind of been following along with City Council, our agreement with the Sunset Market is coming to an end. So be sure to stop by tonight. The road closure will begin at 12 p.m. And then this one, we are going to have an overnight road closure because tomorrow we're hosting our annual Halloween carnival. So we'll be setting up as early as 8 a.m. That's definitely a fun one that takes place right in front of City Hall from 5:30 to 8:30. So we'll have different carnival games, candy, a costume contest, and then trunk or treating with our first responders. So we'll have CAL FIRE and RSO stationed outside. In November, we're switching up our Veterans Day event, so it's still going to be the patriotic salute to veterans. This year, it's going to be from Saturday, November 8th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to have it designed more as an open house style event, so we're having a Veterans Expo with different informational booths from organizations who promote resources and services that they offer to our veterans, but we also want to promote veteran-owned businesses. So I definitely want to encourage you all to reach out either if there's anyone who is a veteran-owned business that would like to have an informational booth, or perhaps kind of putting together a list of businesses, especially those in Old Town, that we can promote at the event. So I'm happy to share more information about that process if you'd like. The next Saturday, we're hosting our annual Puesca Mountain Day. So the event itself is on November 15th, typically starts around 4:30. Most likely, the roads won't close as early as 12, but we just like to kind of add that buffer just in case we do have early setup. But that event is hosted by our city manager's office, and it's typically about 4:30 to 6:30 right in front of City Hall. I have a couple upcoming road closures that are on the agenda for City Council approval next Tuesday. So the first one would be 2 days of closure just of the Main Street Y for our holiday decor installation. So on Friday, November 14th, we have it scheduled for our platform for the Christmas tree to be installed. And then the following Monday, November 17th, that's when the actual Christmas tree would be installed, as well as the decor in front of City Hall, so our Happy Holiday signs, our snowflakes on the pole mounts throughout Old Town. So for that specific road closure, it would just be the horseshoe, so that way they have clear access to the fountain. So Mercedes Street would be open throughout both days as the closure is taking place. And then we are hosting Santa's Electric Light Parade on Friday, December 5th. So this one, there's a lot of road closures, as you know, that go into this. Majority of them are from Jefferson Avenue through Old Town Front Street and the surrounding side streets. So we have different times depending on the closure itself. So again, this is also on the agenda for City Council approval next Tuesday. Once we have the full approval for those road closures, we will be doing our typical notifications to all the businesses in Old Town and along the staging area, which is from Jefferson south of Via Montezuma. as well as notifying our residents. So we are working on plans for resident parking. Last year, we provided a few different options, which I think might have gotten a little confusing. So we're going to try and just have one area for our residents to park. And after going through with the Rod Run and the 4th of July, we noticed that providing the parking passes to the property manager to distribute worked out a lot better rather than requiring them to come in person. So we're going to continue with that. So I would hope by either end of next week or first week of November, we'll start doing that notification specifically to our residents with our parking options. And then lastly, we'll be hosting our New Year's Eve grape drop. So this event, it's Wednesday, December 31st from 6 to 10 p.m., just right in front of City Hall. For this one, we will be closing our typical closure of Mercedes Street and the Main Street Y. So we'll close it in the morning around 10 a.m. That way we have time for a band to come in and our sound crew to start setting up everything for their stage. And then we would anticipate opening all the roads by midnight. This year, we are continuing with the drone show. So we are going to have the drone show staged in a different location. We're working on a plan to have the drones set up in the Penny Pickles parking lot, and then that way the drones would fly over the creek bed. So if you're standing at City Hall, you would be able to have a clear view looking down Main Street. You may be wondering what that means for the grapes. We had a subcommittee meeting with our Parks and Rec subcommittee to discuss plans for the grapes, which also went forward to City Council for full approval. Over the past couple years, we have used the crane to hoist our newer grapes. After some feedback and trying to figure out the best way to position those, we've decided to just have a static display of the grapes. So they'll be hung up in front of City Hall. We're going back to our old grapes. They will be hung up on City Hall, so that way everyone can focus their attention just on the drone show, and we're going to be incorporating animated grape drop within the drone show and still have that countdown, so that way we still stay true to our name. So for that, we will also have just like a 20-30 minute closure along Main Street near the drone staging area just for safety, so that way there's not any cars or pedestrians driving through. But aside from that, that is all I have for upcoming, kind of finishing out the fall and early winter.
Thank you. Any questions from my committee? Yes.
Thank you.
And I love that the association is working with you, because I know that, thank you for helping us with
Yeah.
this whole Christmas thing, holiday thing.
Of course.
And then we have Taste of Old Town right before Santa. So that'll be the Santa parade. So that'll be really good.
Yeah, it'll be great timing.
Yeah, Wednesday. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, do we have anything from Public Works?
We have 2 representatives from Public Works today and 2 quick presentations.
Excellent, thank you.
Hey, good morning. We have a quick presentation on update for the Merida Creek Trail Lights Solar Project. We recently completed that. We installed approximately 27 lights between Moreno Road, behind Old Town, to First Street, behind the Epperson Memorial Lot. The project was about $345,000. The construction contract was $130,000 because the city provided the materials of about $130,000. We went out to bid in May, awarded the contract. It began in September, and we recently got to substantial completion, so the lights are functional at this time. And here's a picture of them right here. And all we have left to do is some cleanup work and some contract closeout work. But that's a picture of it during the day and one at night.
Oh, is that it?
And that's it.
Thank you. I actually went out there one night. It's very pretty. It's really nice. I took a walk after dinner one night, and it feels so much safer, I guess is a good word, because it was a little dark back there. So it is really nice. Any other questions? All right, thank you. Second presentation.
Well, I guess I'll just start. This presentation is going to be on the temporary street closure of First Street as part of the Altair development. Is it going to go up on the screen, Jonathan?
We'll hold off. We'll get the PowerPoint
Okay.
worked.
Okay, well then, the Community Development Director report.
Actually, just one moment.
Oh,
Nick Minicelli, our traffic engineer, is going to present on the proposed First Street closure.
okay. Oh,
There we
you
go. We're set now.
Look at that.
All right. So, as Matt mentioned, this is a presentation on the First Street closure as part of the Altair development. Next slide. So this is going to be it's not approved yet. This will be presented to council this coming week. But what is being proposed is a closure of First Street between Old Town Front Street and Pujol Street. This is required as part of construction improvements for the Altair project. They'll be installing sewer, water, storm drain, and other street improvements. The closure and detours needed for the general construction work, worker safety, and general public safety. It's anticipated to start January 5th, 2026, and it should be for about 30 days. Next slide. So the next slides are just going to kind of show what the typical detours are going to be, what they're going to be. We know it's going to be impactful to Old Town. So we're going to have a lot of construction signage and the PCMS boards, those portable boards so people can see what's going on. So for Pujol Street, for northbound traffic, they're essentially going to be directed to go to Main Street and then towards Old Town Front Street, and then they can go left or right from there. Southbound traffic, they'll be directed to Main Street. We'll direct them to Main Street before they get down to First Street so they don't have to make U-turns and get confused. Next slide. Old Town Front Street, similar, we're going to be directing everyone towards Main Street. So if you're coming northbound, you'll be going to Main Street and then come westerly. As you're coming southbound on Old Town Front Street, you'll be directed to go to Main Street before you get trapped into going into a dead-end road on First Street. Next slide. And then Santiago Road, this is going to be a simple direction. Same thing, direct them to Old Town Front Street and down to Main Street, and then they can hit Pujol and continue on their way. And next slide. And that's it.
Okay, any questions? Just the dates again. January 5th through the 30th.
That's anticipated. We have the developer here, if those dates will be changing, but that's what he mentioned. It should be January 5th at this point.
Well, it's good that it's in January. Old Town will probably appreciate the traffic coming through when it's slow. So, they get to see more of Old Town that way. Am I wrong, Jan? So, yay, see, there's the positive of that. It's good. It'll be good. All right, perfect. Thank you. Community Development Director Report.
Let's see, just a couple of updates. The first being, it was mentioned the electric light parade. So on Friday, December 5th. You received an email on this, but just a reminder that you're invited to join us in the VIP tent with up to 4 guests. So if you want to take advantage of that, let us know and we'll put you on the list. And if you have any questions, just reach out. My other update is, so the Old Town Local Advisory Committee was originally formed to have 7 members. We had 6 and we're down to 5. But we did a recruitment, the city council did a recruitment that ended on October 17th. And they're gonna be making the appointments of the 2 members that'll be on November 18th. So we'll be back up to 7 when we meet in 2026. And as you know, we meet quarterly. So our next meeting will be on January with 7 members. And then we'll be looking to take nominations for a new chair and vice chair. And yeah, that's my update. So our next meeting will be January 22nd, 2026.
All right, thank you. I think we have done everything we were supposed to do. Unless there's anything else, I will adjourn the meeting at 11:19 a.m. 11 minutes early, yay. Thank you.